Dear participant, first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Kim Seok-chul and his wonderful team from the Korea Institute of Nuclear Nonproliferation and Control, KAINAC, for their efforts in organizing this event. And on behalf of organizers, I would express my special appreciation to all the speakers and the panelists, whether you are present here or joining us virtually. My gratitude also goes to every participant. The overarching theme of this year's symposium, titled Sustaining the NPT for 50 More Years, is all the more timely and relevant, given that we are at a critical juncture in terms of the NPT review cycle. As you are well aware, last year marked the 50th anniversary of the treaty entry into force, as well as the 25th year of its indefinite extension. This year, we are preparing for the 10th review conference as we look ahead to the next 50 years of the treaty. The NPT was born half a century ago at a time of strained relations among states when the Cold War was at its height. And yet, the international community managed to find a common ground and hammered out the treaty, which has served as a cornerstone of a global non-proliferation and disarmament regime ever since. It is well known that the treaty has been instrumental in preventing the spread of nuclear weapons, promoting cooperation in peaceful uses of nuclear energy, and furthering the goal of universal and complete nuclear disarmament. That being said, as everyone gathered here today may be well aware, the global disarmament and non-proliferation regime is facing multifaceted challenges posed by deteriorating security environment. We have witnessed in recent years the erosion of the nuclear arms control architecture, with the global tensions on the rise, making it more difficult to see progress in disarmament. In the meantime, the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, TPNW, entered into force last January, bringing a new dimension to the debate on how best to address the NPT's nuclear disarmament pillar. Regional non-proliferation issues such as the North Korean and Iranian nuclear issue still await solution. Furthermore, the advent of emerging technology extending into cyberspace and outer space, as well as hypersonic and autonomous weapons, give rise to many questions on their impact on global security, which includes possible changes to the strategic balance and uncertainties in strategic planning that those technologies may bring about. To make things even more complex, the international community is still struggling with the COVID-19 pandemic. Against all odds, the NPT should serve as a solid platform and be placed at the center of our diplomatic efforts in realizing the ultimate goal of a world without nuclear weapons. In this regard, it is high time that the international community should demonstrate the credibility and relevance of the NPT on such occasions at the next review conference. European opportunity for the state parties to the treaty to jointly reaffirm their commitment to the treaty and rededicate themselves to preserving and strengthening it as a cornerstone of international peace and security. It also needs to be remembered that such concerted and sustained efforts are not just for us, but also for our next generation. Dear participants, as for the Republic of Korea, ROK, it has been a unique position in relation to the NPT since it has a special interest in all three pillars of the NPT regime, namely nuclear disarmament, nuclear non-proliferation, and peaceful uses of nuclear energy. On the disarmament front, given its security situation, the ROK supports progressive, step-by-step approach that duly reflects international security environment. On the non-proliferation front, it is well known that we are faced with one of the most daunting challenges, DPRK nuclear issue. With regard to the peaceful uses of nuclear energy, Korea is cited as an exemplary country that has best utilized nuclear science and technology. Last week, at the ROK US Summit meeting held in Washington, D.C., both countries committed to develop cooperation in overseas nuclear market, including joint participation in nuclear power plant project. Korea is also leading international efforts to strengthen nuclear security in all aspects in close cooperation with the IAEA. Based on such a special interest, Korea has been sparing no efforts to contribute to the strengthening of the NPT regime, keeping in mind that global disarmament architecture is only as durable as the commitment of its constituent. The Republic of Korea, for its part, has actively engaged in collective efforts such as through the Stockholm Initiative, which Ambassador Hellgren explained in his keynote speech this morning. Given that the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula remains one of the most pressing tasks as we work toward the uphold the global non-proliferation regime and international peace and security, my government has made steadfast efforts to achieve complete denuclearization and the permanent peace on the Korean Peninsula through the Korean Peninsula peace process in cooperation with the international community. Moreover, as you would have learned from the relevant discussion this morning, the Korean government is leading the global initiative on empowering the next generation in the disarmament and non-proliferation agenda. We aim to empower, engage, and educate the young generation to the noble cause of a world free from weapons of mass destruction and to enlist their fresh views and creative idea, which would in turn secure the sustainability of our efforts well into the future. Dear participants, it is against such background that this symposium has been both stimulative and useful in taking of the past achievement of the NPT and in outlining important subjects that worth further in-depth deliberation. The carefully chosen topic and well-prepared presentation, as well as the fruitful discussion at this year's symposium, were timely and relevant. Panelists shared their valuable insight and experience. The moderator successfully guided discussion to move forward and encourage active engagement. The participants did not hesitate to present provoking ideas and questions. We owe this success to each other. I'm certain that our inspiring discussion over the last 2 days at this year's symposium will contribute to constructive discussion at the upcoming NPT review conference, although it looks like it might be postponed once again due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I would thank everyone for your participation in this symposium. It has been invaluable in making this event a great success. Let me close my remarks and officially announce the end of the symposium, wishing that all of you and your family stay strong and healthy during that COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you very much.